This episode of Pop Cult Parent is brought to you by Young King Hair Care. Young King Hair Care is a multicultural grooming company for young men. Leveraging plant-based ingredients, Young King creates clean products to promote textured health and growth. Inspired by their son Cade, husband and wife team Cor and Stefan launched this company in December 2019 with the mission to redefine male grooming for the next generation of Black and brown men, giving them the confidence they need to be their best selves 24/7, 365. My two sons have been using Young King Hair Care products since they launched, and I highly recommend everything, especially their leave-in conditioner. Featured on Good Morning America, Shark Tank, Essence, CNBC, and more, Young King can currently be found in the shelves of over 15,000 Target, Walmart, and CVS stores, as well as Amazon. And just for members of Pop Cult, use the discount code PopCultParent to receive 15% off your order at YoungKingHairCare.com. That's PopCultParent, one word, to get 15% off your order. What up, Internet? This is Niels RY, welcoming you to another episode of Pop Cult Parent. For another X-Men 97 reaction episode, we are reacting to episode 8. Again, this is Niels RY. Excited to jump in. Mark is not joining today because he is about to celebrate the 1 year anniversary, the birthday of his son, his firstborn son. And his son is Nigerian, so it's a big deal. He's going to be preoccupied for like the next 10 days because it's a big deal over there. But we are in good hands. I'll turn it over to my other co-host, Shannon. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. This is one of your other co-hosts, Shannon. Not doing an AKA this time. Just jumping in. I'm excited.
You excited?
Doing well.
And because this is a special occasion, because we got some questions that need answers, we had to bring back our expert in all things X-Men, the great Dr. Michael Stevens. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Better than Bastion's family reunion. I'm excited to talk about it. Man, this show's has been doing everything. I couldn't pick nothing better to do. It's good.
Who are you telling? we are weekly talking about this. So we agree. All right, gentlemen, let's jump into it. There is so much to talk about. But I think the first thing I'll say as we go in, or one of the first things I'll say, is that it's called episode 8 and it's called Tolerance and blah, 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 whatever. This episode should have been called Magneto Was Right. Like, that's what this episode should have been called, and that's what we're going to call it. But I'm not going to start with that. What I'm going to start with is Bishop. I'm starting with Bishop because as Cable appears, Scott, rightfully so, is like, where's Bishop? Like, this is my son from the future. He was supposed to be with Bishop. Why isn't Bishop here? And the reason was, Bishop lost him in the time stream. How convenient. That was my reaction. It was like, how convenient. But I'm curious, y'all. What were y'all's thoughts when you heard Bishop and Cable were not in the same time place in the future?
Absolutely. Same. I was like, because, remember a couple episodes back when we commented on just the way Bishop looked when they said, take this baby with you to the future. He was like, just a still face, like, bro, what you do? Okay, fine. Okay. I'll quote unquote take the baby with me to the future. And then, he dropped it in a proverbial time, a time firehouse or whatever. They leave a baby on the steps of the firehouse. Sounds like that's what he did. He left him in the year.
Yeah, dropped the whole baby.
Yeah, left little baby Nathan, aka Cable, in a basket somewhere in the year 2150 on a fire station steps. That's what he did. So
he only had one job to do. He like, actually, I really don't like kids like that. We'll be all right. Just go over here. Somebody else will raise you.
This tells me he was shook because he was like, he couldn't say no to Madeline. She is an Omega level mutant. He was like, yes, I will take your baby to the future. And as soon as he got out of her telepathic view,
Sorry, baby. He didn't want to answer no questions back home. He wanted to just get back and figure it out from there. Shame on you, Bishop. Okay, so on a serious note, back to like the episode when Cable was kind of just like giving us an understanding of the situation that we were in. I'm curious on y'all's thoughts on that whole scene, but the one thing I wanted to shout out was Wolverine, because again, Wolverine was asking the right questions. Cable said all that stuff, and he stood up and was like, why didn't you try to stop Genosha? Like, what's wrong with you? What, like, why are you talking to us right now? Go stop Genosha. I thought, I was like, one, thank you, Wolverine, for being the voice of common sense. And two, I found his answer fascinating. And Mike, I'm in particular curious on your reaction to it, because Cable said, or somebody said, every time he tries to change, he went like multiple times to try to stop Genosha, and every time he got close to it, time stopped him from doing it. Of course, this pays homage to the recent conversations around MCU around like a Nexus event, and I think in Spider-Man, what was the last Spider-Man movie called?
Is that No Way Home?
No, the Miles Morales Spider-Man movie.
Oh, yeah.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Thank you, sir. Across the Spider-Verse. There was what do you call a canon event?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that kind of pays homage to this. And the reason I wanted to ask you about this, Mike, is because in almost every iteration of an X-Men series, every like launch and revisioning of X-Men, something that seemed fairly consistent is a Genosha event. Like, Genosha seemed to always happen in most of the X-Men stories I've read. I could be wrong though. I haven't read all the X-Men series out here, but Mike, I was curious on your reaction to hearing that.
Yeah, so the first thing I like that it's doing a really good job of like trying to tie in some of like the current stuff with the MCU. Like, you go back a couple episodes when Forge was using magic, like, you notice the little magic hands was looking very similar to Doctor Strange. And then when they was asking them about like asking Cable like why he didn't go back to Genosha, and you saying like time kept stopping me. Beast was the one who said, he mentioned Carmitage, which is where like Doctor Strange and all of them is from. And he was saying, and this is where they connected to What If, the new series that they've been doing, and they talked about, they call it absolute points. So it's like across all different realities, all the different the multiverse, these things always happen. So like in when the Doctor Strange lineup was happening, they were saying like Christine always dies, and like that's an absolute point. And then you see what happened when Doctor Strange stopped Christine from dying, like that whole like branch died. So, you know, they're saying the same thing, like no matter what happens across any sort of like timeline, any sort of multiverse, like that Genosha, the tragedy of Genosha always happens. Like, that's a consistent for like the mutant experience, no matter what happens, no matter who you sub in or sub out, like that will always happen.
It's hard out here for a mutant. Dang. It don't matter where you are or what you gonna do, Genosha's gonna happen. Jeez.
Yeah. Which is tough, because like I can't help but keep watching this, and I tie it to things, because, you know, like as we're saying, we know the message there, like mutants or the symbolizing oppressed people, period. Whatever it may be, race, you know, whatever it might be. And I just look at that, and you know, you tie it to real life, and you're like, you know, what if, say, multiverse exists or something like that? And it's like, and no matter what, every single timeline that exists, slavery happens, or the Holocaust, or you know, the atomic bomb, or something. You know, like no matter what, you can't get away from that. Like, that's tough.
That is scary.
Yeah,
that is scary. All right. X-Men. So what we go from there to Bastion. And look, y'all, this was a scene. Like, Bastion is a bad guy. Like, he is in every way, shape, or form a bad guy. There was a lot that was packed into here. I'll start and say some things, and I'll turn it to y'all. One thing I want to do is name that my favorite villain of the of all comic books, all superhero, all universes. My favorite villain, well, besides Joker, Joker's number one. My second favorite villain is Doctor Doom. And so when I saw Doom himself show up, even if it was for a hot second, your boy was happy. And Doom was like, Doom was like, yo, I'm a bad man, but I ain't here for all that. And Bastion's reaction to him and Zemo, who showed up, and I think y'all will get this. Bastion straight up hit them with the, you scared? You scared? I'll take you home if you're scared. And I don't know if y'all remember your childhood or like your teenage years. That is the most belittling thing you can ever say to somebody. Mm-hmm. It's like, you scared? You scared? I'll take you home. Like, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that growing up. And he hit two of the biggest, baddest guys in the Marvel universe with the, y'all be all right. Y'all be all right. Unless you're scared, we can stop. I'll send you a memo, but like we moving. We keeping this sucker rolling. And I was just like, dang, this really shows me Bastion's a bad dude. So that was one of the things I got from that entire, there was a lot in here, but that was one of the things. But I'm curious on what takeaways y'all got from it.
Yo, Bastion, like, he on a whole different playing level. So like, creating all these, what they call them, prime sentinels, right? So like you weaponizing humans. So like old girl on there, Valerie Cooper is like, yo, you weaponizing people and stuff. And he's just like, what do you think this is going to be? This was going on.
Problem.
Yeah, like this is what's going to happen. Like, I'm trying to help y'all out. But like, you knew he was like really about it. Like when Scott, Jean, and Cable would have a family trip to Pennsylvania, like the man, his whole hometown, his mama, he got his mom lying in wait, like, oh, they gonna come for you. They're gonna come pick you up. It's all right. They're gonna pick you up. And they're gonna take you wherever you need to go. But like, not even telling her, like, oh, by the way, I turned you into a murder robot, and you gonna go ahead and get out in the field for me. Like,
can we talk about that scene for a second?
Yes.
When the mom started hitting the Thriller dance move,
yeah,
I was like, retreat, Summers, go, retreat. Game over. At that point, we didn't know the entire town was full of sentinels, but I was just like, no, crazy, scary white lady is hitting Thriller move. It's time to go. That was stellar. Great job done, but that shook me. That definitely shook me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, one, I mean, my red flag period just would have been, we in the house and okay, there's somebody there, but they're not scared at all. Like, if somebody, I don't know, comes into the house, I'm like, whoa, what you doing here? And she's just like, oh, okay, you're here early. And I mean, we sort of get it where they're like, okay, so mentally, maybe she's not all there. Let's just play along. No, that would have been my first red flag. Like, when you see us here, I got the optic shades on, and you're just like, oh, you're here early. Let me do this and show you this. And the other thing about Bastion.
And hold on. And Cable got a whole metal arm looking like a white Jax, right?
Yeah.
This man looks like a solid NFL center walking in the door with a gun the size of you. And you're like, come on in. I was expecting y'all. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. That's a problem.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I'm like that. And then, like you were saying, Bastion is a bad dude. Not only was it, oh yes, I got prime sentinels. I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's a bunch of them around. It's, who knows what a bunch is, but it's gonna be a bunch of them. No, I got about 60% of the world. 60% of the humans are prime sentinels in this world. What? And we just find out, like right now, and it's like, okay, boom, code word hit or whatever, and they all. Yeah, it's a bad dude. Shoo. Like, not to mention, let me just mention this part. We all see it. It is nearly impossible to beat one prime sentinel. And you're like, oh yeah, I got like 60% of humans are prime sentinels. Excuse me? Yeah.
He was playing the game to win. Very much so. Very much so. All right, Mike, I'm going to turn to you in a second, but I want to talk about Bastion's speech for a little bit. There was a lot of stuff that was in Bastion's speech. And I'm sure a lot of it played an allegory into the real world or to our world. But I think there was a theme in certain parts of the speech, which essentially he hit him with like the South Park's "they took our jobs, they're taking our jobs" type stuff. Like that was his rationale. Like capitalism. Like he was like, no, we can't. Their working class jobs are being taken by or can be taken by mutants. And so we're going to evolve and then we're going to enslave mutants. And Mark, he's not able to be on the call, but like, or on the podcast, but Mark was like, Bastion's dream is just a perverted version of Charles's dream. Like Charles's dream is for mutants and humans to work alongside each other and to support each other. And Bastion's dream is kind of like that, except mutants are slaves. Like mutants are enslaved and to be served to the benefit of Sentinels, Prime Sentinels, to wrap it in a bow. And so it's like a disgusted, perverted version of what Charles wanted. And yeah, that was something. That was a sight to see. So, Mike, curious, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so remember Shannon was saying like it's crazy that like it was like almost 60% of the world were Prime Sentinels, and like the part that's kind of like it's scary, but then like, oh, this is real life, was like it makes you think about real life was how Bastion was talking about how he was getting so many people to sign up to do this. So you remember he was saying like, because this is set 97, they going in the chat rooms and find like looking at like the discourse and stuff where you go to the spaces online where everybody's talking about how much they hate mutants. And then that's where he's going first. That is how he's getting so many people willingly to just sign up to do this. And you think about like what that means for like real world right now. People do the same sort of thing where it's like it's not hard to find folks who don't like others just based on how they look or what type of group they in. And that's the easiest place to go pick some of these folks out. So like that's probably what make Bastion like the real villain. Like, yo, he's thinking like he thinking on a level that like is really, really scary.
It's easy to him. It's like, oh yeah, I just went on this AOL chat room real quick, told them to come through. We got a solution to this problem, and they were like ready and willing to sign up. Sheesh, that's a problem.
And then like the other pieces, like he is weaponizing like propaganda. He's like, oh, Professor X is living out in space. Okay, cool. And they tricked everybody. I'm gonna put that online I'm gonna put that on the news right now. That's gonna get more people in this chat. Oh, and that man, Henry Gyrick, you almost told on me, so you gotta die. And I'm gonna tell everybody that the mutants did it. Like the most powerful thing he's been doing up to this point, like part of it has been like creating the Prime Sentinels, but like the propaganda machine he's been running. And like this, and what they've been kind of saying is like he has been like the mastermind behind a lot of the X-Men propaganda all the way back to like the animated series. He's been the one in the back lurking the whole time. Like the person talking about you in class and you don't even know who it is, but boy, they keep telling all your business.
Yeah. That's what's so scary too, we say, because he's been playing chess this entire time, and just because of course our thing is okay, like who's trying to attack, who's just trying to blow the thing up. But like you said, he's like, yeah, I'm attacking. I'm doing some physical attacking Prime Sentinels, but I'm also like, I'm imploding y'all from the inside. Like, I know how humans act. And I mean, with him being that, what is it, that sort of piece of like Nimrod and technology, he's like, I know how humans act. And at the same time, I know how like that intersection of technology, like you said, y'all gonna be in the chat rooms, y'all gonna do this stuff. Let me just bring that together and we just gonna implode it from the inside. It's like, ooh.
Yo, as a part machine, his understanding of human emotion is stellar. The fact that he can like do propaganda like that to sway humans the way that he wants to as a machine, man, this actually kind of has me a little scared about AI. Let me
You think that's scary? Side note, if you've watched this season of The Circle on Netflix, one of the contestants is AI. And
you're lying.
I promise you, they air as an AI contestant on The Circle, and they trying to like they foxing everybody out in terms of like, oh, this person seems like they don't like me, so I'm gonna send them a private message. So somebody, I'm gonna try to divert everybody to think that this person is the AI. Everybody else is talking about this person. I'm gonna step back. It's crazy. It's happening.
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this, y'all? Like, come on. Like, we grew up with Terminator. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, we grew up with Judgment Day. Why are we doing this? What for another day? The X-Men is an allegory of real life, and who is the big bad in every X-Men? Technology. Like, that is the weapon humans use against the mutants. It's tech. It's the machine. But
Nope.
we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Mike, I do want to get back to you though. You got to give us a rundown on Bastion, at least from your knowledge and understanding of Bastion. He seems like a big bad, like huge big bad. Most of the pop call is familiar with Nimrod, and of course, anyone who knows X-Men knows the Master Mode and how atrocious Master Modes are. And so the fact that this thing is a mixture, and he has been playing the likes of Doctor Doom and Sinister and the UN and Zemo, like these are supremely intelligent evil geniuses that he is just like twiddling around his fingers. Please give us a rundown of the understanding of Bastion.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do it based on like what's happening in the animated series, with sprinkled in like some of like how the comic book stuff shows up for him. So in
giving the people what we want. That's exactly what we want.
So if you were reading X-Men comic books, Bastion is like the big bad. Like he is the worst of anything the X-Men ever deals with. Like he is worse than Magneto, Mr. Sinister, and Apocalypse put together ×2 with an attitude. Like he got all of their number. He knows how to eliminate any and every single X-Men, and has done it well. It's done it well to the point they got to go to the past, they got to go to the future, they got to go around the block, get everybody to try to like beat Bastion. And it's something that they don't accomplish easy in the comic books. It takes he dies, comes back a bunch of different times, and all this sort of stuff. So like he's the one person who shakes the X-Men like through and through. So I like how they did it in the animated series, because it makes it a little bit more realistic to like why you should be so scared of him. So what they did is you start off with the Sentinels, right? So like Sentinels, like Model 1, and eventually you get to like Master Mode. So Master Mode is like the height of like Sentinel intelligence, because it can create other Sentinels and they direct other Sentinels. So like the Master Mode is the big boss, right? It knows everything and tells all the other Sentinels what to do, and it creates them in math to just go handle business. But eventually at the X-Men, they can be able to kill the Master Mode, but like Master Mode's smart trying to figure it out. And if you go back to the animated series, you remember, what was that, One Man's Worth, when X-Men, when they went into the future, and it was Wolverine and Storm, and they had to go into the future with Bishop. So when they're in the future, they get to
The infamous Mohawk Storm. Punk
Yes.
rock Mohawk Storm, yes.
Yeah.
back when Wolverine and Storm were going steady.
Best girl he ever been with. Just gonna keep it a buck.
That's true.
I'm gonna be honest. Most healthiest relationship he ever had.
And he didn't have like 500 years worth of.
He had a
Not-
few.
Not less toxic. Not less. So anyway, in the future, they end up creating Nimrod. Nimrod is a more condensed version of it. Like it's the best Sentinel that they've ever created. So no matter what happens, it will adapt and it'll learn. Wolverine will slash with his claws. It's going to learn how to figure out how to regenerate, and those claw slashes won't do anything. Storm going to electrocute it. It's going to learn how to absorb an electric shock and still take her out. So like the Nimrod joint, like it will keep coming and keep coming. So they destroyed a Nimrod, and boom, like now they thought they destroyed it, but it actually like was trying to readapt and everything. And so a small little piece of Nimrod made its way back into the past. So how it ends up being like so scary for Bastion is like the combination of future piece of technology integrating with like a child. So like in this one, like they made Bastion is like, for all intent and purposes, a mutant. So he's a mutant, but his mutant power, he ends up having, he has like technology from the future that is in him, Sentinel technology in the future. So far enough in the future. So like he understands how to create a Nimrod. He understands how to create Sentinel that can absorb and all this sort of stuff. He has like the same sort of intelligence as a master mode. So like Sentinel that can create a whole bunch of other Sentinels and then go do all this bidding. And you think about like he has all that intelligence as a child. So he grows up with all of that. So that's what makes him so scary, because as you in the series, I mean, in this episode, we saw like as a kid, he was painting out like he's seen the future. Like all that stuff to him is the past. So he knows that Genosha's going to happen. He knows that the Sentinels are going to come and get the X-Men. He knows Magneto is going to be the one to get to do this. He knows that when getting Professor X off the board like this is opening him up to this sort of attack. So the worst, I think what makes him so scary in this is like, he got all this Sentinel technology, but he has future insight. And he grew up with all that stuff. So he's been planting seeds the whole time. And they know to get Mr. Sinister sooner or later, because like people run into them. They know to get Magneto because he jumps out in public. Bastion was never jumping out this whole time. He was doing all this stuff from the shadows. Mm-hmm. And then in this, when they jump back with 97, you'll notice like there's been little Easter eggs where you can kind of see him like in the background. So you see a little picture of him standing next to Forge back in the day. And then when Forge is talking about how he met Dr. Adler, the person who created the collars for keeping mutant powers in check.
Yeah, the dampeners.
And Bastion gave him that technology. Bastion is the one like in the background, like, oh yeah, this is how you do this or this. The gun that the gun that was used to take Storm's power, they never tell us where he get it from. He gets it from Bastion. And because Bastion knows that there's going to be a trial of Magneto. So he sets the things up, and all he stay in the back and making all that stuff happen. So that's why like how they're doing Bastion right now, like they're doing justice, because like he's so scary because none of them see him coming. None of them see him coming this whole time.
I got two reactions. To this. One is if I was a mutant, I would be freaky. I would be so scared at everything you just said right now. It sounds terrifying, because think about the X-Men villains. Like at the end of the day, Magneto's on their side. He just got a different opinion, right? Apocalypse is just extra. Like he like loves mutants a little too much and is a little too tough with his parenting. Like that's all Apocalypse is. But Bastion's like Kendrick with Drake. He hates mutants. You know, just like hates every single aspect. He hates how they smell, how they look, how they party. He hates everything about mutants to his core. And he knows what to do to stop them. That's scary.
And look, they've not fought him head up yet.
That's true.
And again,
we ain't seen him throw hands yet.
You ain't seen him throw hands, not yet. You seen he could teleport. He do some little things, all this stuff just come up out the air and like stick you all up in there. Like the same type of smoke that they had to give Nimrod is going to be what you would have to give to somebody like him.
Mm-hmm. And just as you were mentioning that too, you were like, he's been in the background and everything. And you know, there was something I think we mentioned before in another episode, but like he's been in every episode of the X-Men, maybe except for like one this season, but there's been some piece, like a picture of him or him actually there just chilling. And like I think back to, I feel like when Genosha was happening, he was there just chilling among everybody. Like he was at the party, because they show like a quick sort of picture of, or not even a picture, but I mean like, you know, as they're panning through the crowd, like you see him there, he just like among the mutants, like you wouldn't even notice him. And even then he's like hanging with them. And it's just, you know, and I'm sure he's probably like, yeah, it's about 9 o'clock, time for me to go.
About that time. About that time for me to head out here and send a demon-looking sentinel to cause havoc.
Yeah, and I'm sure somebody's like, all right, well, good talking to you. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, sure.
No, you won't.
See you tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, bye.
That's terrible. That's terrible. And then the other thing that like comes from what you were saying, Mike, was consistently he was trying to get rid of Magneto, trying to get Magneto off of the board. And it makes me wonder, is it because Magneto was right? And like Magneto was like the sole person saying like, don't trust the humans. Don't trust the humans. We need to get ourselves together to go against it. Or is it because of how we saw the episode end that Magneto had the power to shut everything down? Like, I'm curious on what y'all's thoughts on that. My thought is the latter. It's like, nah, Magneto, like he knew Magneto could just shut the whole situation down. But I'm curious on what y'all think about it.
It's definitely both. So like if we go back to that and go back to the original animated series, when again, one man's word. So you're in the future and it was a future with no Xavier. You remember like Magneto, everybody was calling Magneto the leader. And they made a point to say like, yo, we lose the leader, we lose everything. And if you're taking yourself to like the comic book, anytime that Professor X is not on the table, like Magneto is always the de facto leader. So like when it was Age of Apocalypse,
yep, it's Magneto.
Professor X, it was Magneto going head up with like Apocalypse. Like Magneto is always the default leader for mutants if Xavier is not there. And then if Xavier is there, it's always like they try to find a balance or something, right? Mm-hmm. So one you want to take, if you get rid of one and you get rid of the other, you never see in comic books, to my knowledge. I can't remember times where you don't have either of them on the board. It's a rare thing to not see either of them in the leading or trying to guide people. It's always one or the other. Now, to what state
That's a really good question. I don't think I can think of a time when neither of them were around.
I can't point to one right now, but I think you're right on the other piece too. Is like Magneto, ain't nobody else on the planet could do like that EMP situation that Magneto did. And so if we're going back to, remember when in the animated series it was this what was it called? Sanctuary, when Magneto had Asteroid M, and
Asteroid M,
it was playing with him and all that stuff. He was losing his powers. He using power all over the place and getting real weak. When he goes back through, I think he went through one of the magnetosphere or something like that. Whatever, going back, coming from space, coming back into Earth, he got supercharged. He was like ready for action. But in that same episode, in the very beginning, he showed the ability to do an EMP, so electromagnetic pulse, where he let that join out. All the Sentinels, all the machines in that little vicinity, all down. So like, has the ability to do that sort of like he has that ability. So like that was probably a big reason Bastion at first first thing he tried to do, get rid of Magneto's powers. When Magneto didn't have no powers, then the next thing happens. Like, okay, well, in Genosha, make sure, put the little thing on him, get him out of here. We don't like, that's the only mutant power right now that could actually like stop these things dead in its track.
But it also seems like he's not trying to kill him. And Shannon, I am curious on your thoughts. I'll get back to you in a second. Like, it sounds like, or it seemed like he wasn't trying to kill him. So it was like he just wanted him off the board, but he didn't want him gone. He didn't, like, to me, I'm assuming he didn't want Magneto to become a martyr, because like that's the last. I mean, X gone, if Magneto's gone, it's an all-out war, and he was trying to stop it before it became that.
Yeah, he didn't want to. My read is like, that's the person you want to demoralize. You want like, yo, oh, this your tough guy. This the tough guy. This the one you always come.
This your king.
Look what happened.
That's a good point.
I took the man powers, or I got him locked up in his underwear. He can't do nothing. What y'all gonna do against me?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And speaking of that, I was like, I mean, just a funny thing. It seems like the less clothes Magneto has on, the stronger he gets. It was like he's starting to show. He's starting, he's like, all right, look, I got my arms exposed. I'm doing, I'm lifting. I done lifted the whole UN and took them to space. You ain't never seen me do that before. Got my arms out. Look at me. I'm in my drawers. Now I didn't.
Lights
out. They made
the
the entire Earth black out. I was like,
yeah, might have a point there, Shannon. You might have a point. The data checks out.
Yeah. I'm like, the most productive thing I've ever done in my underwear is brush my teeth. Like, and this mug, he just blacked out the entire entire Earth.
Yeah.
But I say that like just a funny part, mentioning like Bastion not taking him off the board. Again, he's playing chess Like, I mean, at a high level, because I think, like you said, there could be that point of, yeah, demoralized because this who y'all would run to be your leader. Look at him. He weak now, this and that. But also the way this is going to cause the war to ignite because like y'all were saying, Magneto is the like de facto leader. He made this decision by himself. This wasn't like mutants are now going to go to war with humans. We all agreed. He was like, enough. Boom. And so now, if you look at that, to me, like that's chess. If Bastion knows that, because now they're going to be like, Magneto did this. Magneto is the leader of mutants, of the X-Men. So therefore, mutants and the X-Men have now declared war on us.
Yep.
And they really haven't. But it's like, so I'm like, it's chess. Like, this is so, and again,
he still wins. Even he lost Magneto and Magneto made a move and all the Prime Sentinels out. Bastion still wins because now the world's going to be against the mutants. Like, you're spot on, Shannon. Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen. And
it's like, man.
And just going to that scene, and there's a couple other scenes we got to talk about still. Man, this was a good episode. Mm-hmm. So just with that scene, we got to see Spider-Man. We got to see the Silver Samurai. We got to see Omega Red. Like, what?
My man.
Like, what is... So, like, I mean... Mike, I have a theory. Silver Samurai, I don't know why they show Spider-Man. Maybe because be like, hey, you like Spider-Man, he's here. But those other two, Silver Samurai and Omega Red, my theory is they showing Omega Red because they're like, we're about to show what it looks like when the evil mutants are out and about to cause mayhem just to feed Bastion's propaganda. Because Omega Red is a serial killer. Like, he is a problem. So that was my assumption. I don't know if you had any initial takeaways from when you saw all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they when I saw that, I'm like, oh, Wolverine better stay ready because all the people he got smoke with, is gonna be outside. Like, he gonna have a long summer, y'all. He gonna have a long summer fighting every day.
Surprised me to see Sabretooth. The Holy Trinity would have been out there. Lady Deathstrike, and we had all that. It was like, okay, this is literally just against Logan. Like, this is all his people.
All his smoke coming back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think they showed all them people too. What I like about this one right now is like they've been doing a really good job every episode. So one, they accomplish this through Morph a lot, but like they've been like bringing back a lot of people. Just like, oh, now since we back. Like, remember Juggernaut is in the mix. Quicksilver here. Okay, and this is the same universe with Captain America. We got Doom in here. We got Spider-Man. Like, they're making a point to like show you like how interconnected the X-Men are with like the rest of the MCU, and they're also doing a good job in like connecting it with like how this version of the MCU was happening. Even though this is like 97 and everything, they're doing little stuff to like the Watcher makes an appearance, like. But making an appearance in the way that we see it now, where like the Watcher only shows up when it gets real, and like they're trying to make this a wide thing. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see like we see Iron Man, see like the Fantastic Four and some version of this stuff. Like, they're going to try to connect a lot of different things in here, so that way, like, this world that they're creating with the X-Men and X-Men 97, like, it's going to have like a lot of. It can go a lot of different ways.
Can I just say, if we see them, I'm going to be like, it's about time. Where have y'all been? It's episode 8, and we have just seen one Avenger. We've seen one Avenger, and this is just a tale as old as time. The Avengers aren't the Avengers for everybody. The Avengers are the Avengers for some people. Not all the people there. And the mutants have had a gripe about that for so long. And some of the mutants are Avengers. So, like, yeah, that is a thing, a consistent thing. So, yeah, show up. Like, look, come on, Tony. Look, all this tech, and you ain't showing up. I'm mad at them. Like this is real. I'm upset. Where are y'all? We are dying out here. Help us.
Look, I will say, I'm throwing out like, because they said that not only season 2 confirmed, but I think they're already cooking season 3 at this point.
Yep.
I'm just gonna put out there, and what I would hope to see with what they're doing all this, like, give me Avengers versus X-Men.
Yeah.
I feel like they're doing all this to like they're pulling all these people. So like if you see the Avengers, whatever lineup they give you of the Avengers, it's not the first time. And like they don't got to do all that backstory. They could jump right into
Yeah.
I would love that. I would love that. I would also love House of M.
Oh,
Now I don't know how you're gonna do that, but I would love both those things. Avengers versus X-Men is a necessity. I would love that. All right, y'all. We gotta get quickly through some of these other scenes, and then we'll call it a night. So I'm gonna call it the Summers 90s action movie. So when the Summers, so when after Bastion's mom reveals herself as a Prime Sentinel, it is full on action in Bastion's hometown, and they're all in the Blackbird, and then things just turn up another level when they get into the Porsche. And I'm gonna just say, y'all, like it was a straight up 90s action movie. Like Cable had a giant gun blasting folks. Jean was driving the Porsche with her telepathy. Cyclops was shooting lasers, and then at one point they all land into superhero poses, and the car explodes in the back. And I'm like, that's a poster. That's a poster right there.
Yeah.
Lovely. So I was curious on y'all's takeaways from the Summers family reunion that took place fighting 100 Prime Sentinels. There's a whole bunch of Prime Sentinels.
All of them. It was just funny that like, one, how they connect everything. They're like, hey, this is like the third Blackbird we've blown up in like 3 months or whatever, which is funny because you look through the episodes, it's like, yeah, like just in X-Men 97, that Blackbird is blown up like 3 different times, like already. And then the fact that what comes out is not like, if it was Batman driving the Batwing, it would maybe be the Batmobile coming out like a whole bit. He just got a Porsche. He was like, I got a Porsche and we out. But no, I love it.
Xavier got silly money.
Yeah.
Because that ain't come from Cyclops. That was a trust fund type of purchase. Xavier has silly money.
3 Blackbirds, a Porsche just in there, just sitting. So that means the Porsche ain't even getting driven around. It's just always in there just in case.
Like it's an emergency car.
Yeah, an emergency. Yeah. But no, loved it.
Yeah, I love seeing them like kind of do like the family action situation. I love like as it was going, like Jean trying to find her footing with Cable. Cable's totally avoiding Cyclops, and he annoyed with her. Like it's like, oh look, at like the fam, like you start to see like little family dynamic happening. But what brought them together clearly is like, okay, let's go shoot some Sentinels. Let's go on a high speed chase. Let's get some action going. And like now you start to see like their family dynamic starting to play out. I'm like, okay, I like when they give us some little heartstrings, and it gets a little heavy in this series and stuff. So like, give me some stuff that makes me smile. Give me something that makes me laugh.
Yo, Cable is like what, 60 years old or something, give or take. Yeah. And he's like, stop bossing me around. It's like, leave me alone, Dad. Like he goes full teenager to Jean and Scott. It was hilarious. He was like, yo, they just showed you it don't matter how old you are, you can still be sunned. You can still be son, you can still be parented. Man, so that was awesome. There's another scene, and that is like at the mansion. Beast is talking to the reporter sister, and her conniving tale, like, I knew she was a Prime Sentinel. I was just like talking about tolerance. You just had Prime Sentinel ooze all up in you. And when she reveals herself and Beast gets thrown out, we get, I would argue, one of, if not the best action scenes in this show, when Wolverine is catapulted in the air and as he's falling to the earth, taking out damn near 5 Prime Sentinels, lands, and then it's him and Nightcrawler. And Nightcrawler got both the swords, the pirate-looking swords, and they go to town defending the mansion and saving Rogue for it looks like a long time. It looks like they were in that fight for a minute trying to like make sure that Rogue was good. Fellas, how did y'all feel about this scene?
Yo,
I just say it real quick because I know you let you go in, Mike. I just want to say one. I just want to make a small correction. He had 3 swords. He had
Correct.
one with his tail
Correction.
doing work, putting in work.
Apologies. Apologies. Yeah.
The way he was like, what Wolverine was like, I got 6 reasons why I won't quit or whatever. He was like, no, you have 9, my friend. He comes out. I love that scene. They were going at it. Like you said, Wolverine was just like, I'm gonna hit the ground, but I'm taking some of y'all with me. And my favorite part, obviously, I loved the whole thing, but like they showed is it the Brimstone realm? Is that what it's called? Like where
The
Nightcrawler
Banff,
goes
like,
when
yeah.
yep.
like whenever he does his like disappearing, poof thing. But like they showed that for like a second, and like I've never seen it. Like I know that's where he goes when he like disappears and goes somewhere. But they showed us because remember when Wolverine like dug his claws into the person, and at the same time Nightcrawler, because they got to the point they were like, yo, every time we cut them, they just come back. I feel like Nightcrawler, did he eventually just start sending them there or something? But whatever it was,
He's just like moving
when they
the ball
did
out
that,
of the mansion.
yeah, but it was just wild when they did that. Like Wolverine's digging the claws in, so we sort of see if we were Wolverine, this is how it would look to us, which is wild because Nightcrawler's like, I mean, I do this like 50 times a day, it ain't nothing. But Wolverine, you can see this look on his eyes, like, what is this? And then, whenever they like did a little beam through.
That didn't look pleasant
yeah.
at all, yo. I was like, I don't want that. And he uses that power often, to your point, Shannon. Like, he uses that on a regular, and he teleports mutants on a regular. I just imagine if Nightcrawler was to ever take me anywhere, I'm just hitting it like this. Yo, I'm not opening my eye. I don't want, like, it is a roller coaster ride. I'm just like, yo, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I completely agree. Yo, you always see Wolverine fight you don't never see Wolverine fight in the air. You see Rogue fight in the air, you see Jean, you see Storm, you don't never see Wolverine fighting in the air. Man can't fly. So, and he know he can't fly. So he's like, I'm going down, but I'm going down, taking all y'all with me. And it's the first, like, you see him like stabbing and slashing like inanimate objects. You don't see him slashing people in the animated series. So like he actually putting claws in them. He tearing them in half, and like he did one of Bo DeMaio and like all the folks who did this, they used to play Marvel vs. Capcom, and you can't tell me
had to. Absolutely.
Like, that previous episode, like that kick that Rogue did, like that's the same in the game. And then in this one, like there was one point like he slashed them both ways like that, like just like how Wolverine does like the Berserker slash in Marvel vs. Capcom. So like, yeah, they was getting busy. They was getting busy.
Yeah. And Juggernaut was in this episode. Like, I think y'all mentioned it. And he was in the game too. Man, yeah, like that was clearly their favorite. They went to arcades and played that game. You can't tell me, because there's a whole bunch of homage to that as well. Well, y'all, there's one other thing, and we talked about it a little bit, but the episode ended with Magneto going to the North Pole, it looks like, and saying enough and shutting everything down. And something Mark said was it worth it? Because it wasn't just the fact that he shut down all the Prime Sentinels. He shut everything electric down, including nuclear power plants, including potentially planes full of people that all of a sudden were like falling down because electricity stopped. So like the reason it was a declaration of war is like, you shut down all of human tech for a brief time. Like you stopped the world, and you like single-handedly, and you're also the leader of the X-Men. Because Professor X is not there. Like all sense and purposes, people think like, yeah, they saw him in space, but like Magneto is legally the leader of the X-Men. And they don't know that he got captured. All they know is like out of nowhere, everything gets shut down. And he's the person who did it. So I'm curious on what y'all think is going to happen next. Like, I'm curious, like, one, what y'all thought about the scene, but also what's going to happen for the rest of the season. We got 2 episodes left. What are we about to see? Because it looks like it's going to be war against the mutants in general, like all mutants.
Yeah, I think 2 things are going to happen. One, I think they're gonna have to fight Bastion straight up. Ain't no two ways about it, right? Like they're gonna bring it right to him. And I think it'll get really close, but I think that they'll actually still pull it off. The thing I feel like is going to happen with Professor
I
X,
don't. I don't. You so optimistic, Mike. You just spent like early in this episode telling us how bad this man is, and nothing you said gave me hope that they can stop this man. But sorry, please continue.
Well, look, 'cause I feel like what they setting us up for is like Magneto is at the point now. Everybody gets it. He don't care what is going on. And you remember that's what he was almost at that point before at the end of the animated series, but then they got at Charles. So then he softened it up. But like now he's like, Charles is gone, and y'all been doing this, and I tried the nice way.
Mhm.
It's the carrot or the stick. The carrot ain't been working this whole time, coming with the big stick. Boom.
Facts.
And that is when Professor X is coming back. So Charles is coming back, right?
Terrible timing.
I know.
Stay over there. We got some stuff to do.
He's came back 2 weeks early or come back 2 weeks late. Because like you coming back when Magneto got smoked for everybody. And what's probably going to happen in here, I feel like we've been overdue. It's been a long time in the animated series, and then up to now it's like Charles and Magneto get into conflict. And I feel like what's going to have to happen when they get into conflict again, I think this time around, like the conflict between them is going to end up being, if they're based on like how the source material that like the writers and stuff have been using, I would not be surprised if like there's a big showdown where Professor X basically got to shut down Magneto's mind and like puts him in like a comatose stasis, which he's done in the comic book.
Are you talking like Onslaught?
Exactly. When Professor X pulled that kind of move with Magneto, and the only reason he did it was again because Magneto he was so enraged that like Wolverine came at him and like he like, you the last one to come at me. Pulled all of the adamantium out of Wolverine's body, and seeing that like sent Professor X over the deep end, shut his brain down. Now it's all this crazy stuff, and now like we create Onslaught, which is like everybody's worst nightmare, which could also pay a lot of dividends because the X-Men couldn't beat Onslaught. They had to enlist the Avengers. And you see they've been sprinkling in like all the other MCU into this. So I feel like Bastion will get beat, but not like completely off the board, never again, because they couldn't do that off of the first time fighting them. Like, you know, that they do that with the villain. The villain may lose, like, okay, you know what? Maybe right now is not the best time to fight you. I'll go mind my business and I'll come back later. I feel like Bastion might pull that sort of move and step to the side. And the big smoke we're going to have to deal with is like Charles and Magneto are going to come back into conflict. And that's going to be the big disaster for everybody.
Shannon, I'm going to give you a second. We probably need to explain Onslaught, because some folks may have just heard Onslaught and be like, that doesn't sound good. And we just kept moving. I'll attempt, and please clean it up, Mike. Onslaught, the best way I can explain Onslaught is, as Mike was explaining, Charles like used his telepathy, like psychic powers intensely on Magneto to the point of like dang near half of his like soul went into like Magneto's head. And what happened was like Magneto's like essence and like thought process of like anger combined with like Charles's psychic powers essentially created an entity. And that entity is called Onslaught. And it's like, imagine the powers of Magneto and Charles together in one evil creature. Yes, I'm sure wherever your imagination goes, now just put Jim Lee's like illustration behind it. You have this giant Magneto looking monster it wasn't just the X-Men alone to stop him. That is what Onslaught is. Mike, please clean it up. What would you add to Onslaught?
I mean, I think the only thing I'd add is like he's literally he is everybody's worst nightmare. Like, and because he has Professor X like telepathy, like he knows everything about you. So he would in turn like create like the worst thing you could ever experience and like turn all your secrets, turn anything you think of, like the little thought you never said, like turn that against you. So like he X-Men don't have it easy, man.
The last thing I'll say about Onslaught, and this is from the comic I remember reading about Onslaught, the Juggernaut ran and broke into the X Mansion asking for help because he was so scared of Onslaught. That is how bad this man is. Juggernaut ain't running away from nobody, but he was running away from Onslaught asking for help. He's like, I don't know what to do. He is a problem. So, in case you're wondering, that's who Onslaught is. But Shannon, what do you think is gonna happen?
So what was it? This has been my thought. I wonder, because to my knowledge, I feel like it's only happened twice, maybe 3 times in like movies and things I've seen at least. Are we going to have the Empire Strikes Back moment? And I say that, so that means will this season end? And it's like, no, there is no, we stop Bastion a little bit. It's like, no, X-Men, y'all just straight up lost. And we see y'all are down. The victory does not look like it's going to happen. And that's how the season ends. And then season 2, maybe finally that's when like they have to come together and maybe things work out for them. And I feel like, it would be one of those things.
Describe the longest summer. It's going to be the longest summer if that plays out.
Yeah. But I'm like, one, I feel like you cannot miss X-Men 97. You have not missed, because again, we're like, your weakest episode was the Jubilee episode. And that wasn't even bad, really. It was just like compared to everything else. Go ahead, try it, because like I said, I can only think of a couple times it's been done. It was, actually The Empire Strikes Back, Civil War. I really don't know if there's been anything else where it was like the movie ended and you were like, oh, yep, good guys lost.
Shannon, I will say everybody has tried to replicate The Empire Strikes Back. It has been a consistent trope. How many people have done it well is a very small list.
Yeah.
Very small list. But yeah, folks have tried it. Man, that would be stellar. That would be stellar. If that happens, Shannon, we just gonna turn that last episode to you. It's gonna be the Shannon hour. And we just let you go in. And Mike, you know what? Apologies. I didn't give you the stand. We did it last episode, but I didn't give you the stand. You named that it was Bastion. You're like, it's either Cassandra Nova or Bastion. You said it first. Just want to give you the opportunity to get the cream.
I'm just telling you. You see how it go. I feel like Onslaught going to be in the mix. And hot take, I don't think Gambit dead.
How? That man blew up an entire master mode looking thing.
Same way that Morph died and Morph wasn't really dead. We didn't find out till like 2 or 3 seasons later.
But they buried the body.
In the comic book logic, all I'm gonna say is,
as it was coming out of my mouth, I understood what I said. That doesn't mean a thing.
In the comic books, Gambit used to be a horseman of death for Apocalypse. Falling it.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Stellar. Fellas, any other things before we wrap up?
Yeah, I got just a thought or two. One, what's up with Rogue? I feel like we need a little bit of closure or something there, because like, remember when she did the whole thing, when she touched dude's face, she saw the stuff and she freaked out a little bit, and then she just woke up in a street and everybody was like, okay, hey, and I'm like, there's something missing here. Like, what is that? And then the fact, we know she got hit hard when the Prime Sentinel blew up and everything, but her laying there still in the bed, it's just like, I feel like you would have healed by now. It's just, and I'm not even saying that there's maybe necessarily anything sneaky or odd, but it's just like there's some gaps here.
Like, are you okay?
Yeah, and it's just sort of weird that there are some gaps here.
Yeah, we got high expectations for Rogue.
Yeah,
she got punched in point blank range with a full unexpected cosmic punch by a Prime Sentinel. We like, yo, What you doing? Get out.
Yeah.
Time. What's the problem? Come on, bro. And we just like, we fully expect her to be in action right now. And like, yo, it's clobbering time, bro. What you doing?
Yeah. Like, what's
Time to
going
get
on?
up. Yep.
But yeah, so I'm like, that's like a little weird to me, and I am like, is there something more to it, or is it just literally they were just like, okay, we just sort of didn't really completely do our writing part or whatever, whatever. The other thing, so like we see what's happening, like the hatred and everything, because they're like, oh, they're going to replace mutants or I mean, they're going to replace humans and this and that. Like when we look at it, it's like if things go the way they go to eliminate humans, if that were to happen, it's really just, hey, everybody lives and we're just having babies. And maybe, we end up having more mutant babies than human babies, and maybe humans are having babies with mutants, and maybe that's how humans disappear. To eliminate mutants, you got to kill all the mutants. And that's just like the difference right here that's happening. I'm like, that's horrible. Like noticing that. So that sort of brings me to my next question or thought that I've been having. As we see humans, they become infected or they do the stuff or whatever, and they become those prime sentinels. Could the same happen to mutants? Or is there like another strand or something and like it could do that to mutants too? If so, that sounds horrible. If they would be the same sort of controlled thing. But anyway, that's a thought I've been having. Like, could the same happen to mutants? And is it going to happen to some mutants that we know?
That is an interesting question. My God, Loki's just looking at you because I don't know if you actually know the answer to it.
I mean, it could happen because there was in the comic book, there's a woman named Karima Sharpender who was Omega Sentinel.
Omega Sentinel. Yep.
Was a mutant.
There you go. That's the answer.
They definitely got.
We might actually get Omega Sentinel. So we'll leave it there. I don't want folks to get like too into it. The other thing I'll name is that like Cable did get a technovirus, so we kind of did see elements of that too. Yeah. And I think the actual way, because tech is always seen as like the villain, like machines are always seen as the villains to like mutants. There is something called Mike, I believe it's called like a mutant circuit. And it is when like mutants use their powers together in tandem to like do exceptional stuff. And like, I don't know if we've seen an example of mutant circuit in the animated series, but I know it's a thing. Like I remember definitely in the Krakoa, we see some prime examples of what the beyond limits that a mutant circuit could do.
Yeah, the best example we got in X-Men 97 is when episode 1, when Wolverine
Wolverine
running, yeah, like that, and then morph turns into the Blob, so like Wolverine can turn into like pretty much like a missile with like an explosive thing, like that. That was an example of like a mutant circuit. So
just imagine like 3 or 4 mutants working together at one time in tandem. You ain't never seen that like that. They're like if they could resurrect lives, some would say, for another day. Well, actually, we talked about in Mike's first podcast of Pop Call Parent. All right, gentlemen, anything else before we wrap up?
This best X-Men I've seen yet, and this is another great episode, man. Another great episode.
Yeah, their attention to detail is impeccable. Like because I know like y'all have really read the comics. I haven't read the comics, but having these conversations, I'm learning about the comics. But then I'm seeing in the show, dag, y'all really read the comics, like the people who actually made it. So it's like all of this just coming together. I'm like, man, like they are impeccable. Their attention to detail. And just one random thing too. I don't think we mentioned this, but like. Even Bastion being born or whatnot, that was a callback to the first X-Men cartoon or whatnot. Because remember, like his dad was like a janitor, right? Or what was it? When Nimrod, like a piece of Nimrod, like went into his dad's ear or something like that. And they sort of showed like back in the I'm sorry, I'm like stumbling over stuff. I don't remember which episode it was, but I think it was one of those where maybe they were supposed to go back in time to kill Professor X, something like that. But anyway, back then you wouldn't even have noticed his dad, like, because I mean he was just like a janitor. He was just like do, just clean it. Like nothing stood out about him, and it shows just that little attention to detail. That they're like,
The janitor was in the X-Men the animated series.
I think so. And I mean, and again, I say it because I don't think he had any lines. It was just literally like if you would see an extra, just an extra in a scene. I'm just being a janitor mopping up the floor, and then later it becomes like, oh, I'm the dad of
Wow.
like that little
Wow,
attention.
I gotta check that out. What was the episode? A Man's Worth?
It might have
I
been.
gotta check that out.
Yeah, in my mind, I envisioned it was like when they went back to kill Professor X. But anyway, yeah, impeccable. Their attention to
Yeah.
detail.
All I'll say as we wrap up is, I'm sorry, Gavin. This might be better than Invincible. This might be better than Invincible. This might be one of the best. If it's not even over yet, but this might be one of the best animated shows, at least superhero animated shows out there. Period. And we got 2 more episodes to go. Gentlemen, I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining. And thank you, Pop Cult. Thank you for listening. We have a new episode every month. Well, we have a new X-Men episode every week. But you can find us on all social media at Pop Cult Parent, POPCULTPARENT. Visit us at www.popcultparent.com. Become a member of the Pop Cult at our Patreon, patreon.com/popcultparent, where you can see our full video episodes. Email us at popcultparent@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate us, review, and subscribe. And as always, join the cult. Peace.
We out.
Pop